Correct. Try again. Wintertime again this morning.
Okay, we good to go? All the high tech is working? Very good. All righty. Good morning. My name is Paul Wiedefeld. I am the chairman of the Maryland Transportation Authority Board. And I hereby call the meeting of the MDTA Board in order at 9:02 a.m. Before we get started this morning, I would like us to observe a moment of silence on our 6 contractor colleagues who lost their lives last week during the tragic work zone crash on I-695. Thank you for taking this moment with me, and please remember that it is responsibility of all of us to be mindful when we are behind the wheel, that we need to drive safely, be aware of our surroundings, and to be cautious when driving near all work zones, including our own MDTA work zones. To continue with this meeting, let me begin by saying that this morning we are having our meeting in person at MDTA headquarters. And in accordance with the live streaming law, this meeting is being live streamed on the MDTA board webpage. I would like to say welcome to the members and staff who are with us today. For the record, I would like to state that the member Dante Carroll is joining us today via conference call, I believe in Pittsburgh. As a reminder, I ask that anyone who is in the room with us this morning to refrain from speaking unless you are presenting or answering a question to avoid background noise on the live stream. There are no members of the public, no elected officials, and no media who have pre-registered to comment at this morning's meeting. For those who are watching this meeting via the live stream, we have posted the materials on today's website, on today's meeting on the MDTA board webpage so that you can follow along if you would like. We begin now with today's agenda. Agenda item number 1 is approval of the open session meeting minutes of February 23rd.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Here's a second. Thank you. Approved. Agenda item number 2. Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. Sorry. Agenda item number 2, open session meeting minutes, in-person express toll lanes, ETL Section 200 toll hearings in Baltimore County from February 27th.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Item number 3, open session meeting minutes of the virtual express toll ETL Section 200 toll hearings of March 2nd, 2023. Motion?
So moved. Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda item number 3, approval of the open session meeting minutes of the in-person express toll ETL Section 200 toll hearings in Harford County, March 6, 2023.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Item number 5, there's approval of contract awards MT 00210 626, scrap rubber removal. We'll talk to Donna. Is going to present. Donna, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Donna.
Good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning.
Donna DeCerbo, Director of Procurement, MDTA. Thank you for your time this morning. We have one contract to present. It is scrap rubber removal services, MT 200210626. The purpose is for recycling the MDTA's rubber materials to support the MDTA. We advertised this contract on December 1st of 2022. We've received 2 bids. There were no MBE goals, VSBE goals, or SBR designation due to the limited scope of work and specialized nature of the work. We received 2 bids, and we're recommending award to Austin Contracting in the amount of $580,750. It's a 5-year term, and we received no protest on this contract item.
Is there a motion for approval or any questions?
I'll make that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you for your time.
All right, agenda item number 6, update on fiscal year 2024 Department of Legislative Services Budget Analyst. Ms. Green? Hi, how are
Good
you?
morning.
Morning.
Morning. For the record, Chantel Green, Director of Finance here at the Authority. Today, I'll be providing the board with a high-level overview of the various items that the agency was asked to comment on during the most recent legislative budget hearings. For portions of this presentation, I will be toggling back and forth between Attachment 1, which is the DLS budget analysis document, as well as Attachment 2, which is the agency's responses to the DLS budget analysis document. And I will direct you to the appropriate pages in your PDF document as I move along. The first thing that we were asked to comment on can be found on page 28 of the PDF document. DLS commented on the authority's EasyPass penetration rate and asked that we discuss AET challenges during fiscal year 2022 and efforts to prioritize processing the EasyPass and video tolls while working through the backlog. In response, which is found on page 59 of the PDF document, we note that in fiscal year 2021, as part of the authority strategy to address the pandemic backlog of unprocessed transactions, the authority emphasized processing home and away EasyPass transactions. This led to a temporary artificial increase in the fiscal year 2021 EasyPass collection rate. Whereas in fiscal year 2022, the authority focused on processing and collecting delayed notice of toll due mailings, which led to a reduction in the EasyPass penetration rate. Going forward, the authority anticipates a relatively flat EasyPass collection rate of approximately 86% of total transactions. Beginning on page 36 of your PDF document, DLS notes the vacancy rate as of January 2023, some of the challenges associated with filling vacant positions, and the authority's efforts to fill vacancies and retain employees. At the bottom of page 37 of your PDF document, DLS notes that we comment on our vacancy rate and discuss how long-term vacancies have impacted operations. We were also asked to discuss the rationale for extending the hiring freeze and strategies to reduce the vacancy rate. On page 60 of your PDF document, we begin our response by noting that like many other state agencies and businesses, the authority was not immune from staffing shortages and challenges stemming from the COVID-19 pandemic. The high vacancy rate has resulted in additional employee overtime as well as compensatory leave. And while the benefits associated with overtime and compensatory leave are often appreciated by staff, it can lead to employee fatigue and retention issues. Because the authority is a self-funded agency, we were faced with challenges not encountered by many other state agencies that have access to alternative funding sources. To help mitigate the impact of reduced revenues from the temporary decline in toll traffic during the pandemic, the authority implemented a hiring freeze. While this action was no different than every other state agency, because of the authority's independent and unique financial structure, the authority found it necessary to extend the hiring freeze beyond the state-mandated time frame to further constrain costs in order to maintain operations, comply with legal standards and operating policies, as well as preserve the agency's toll bond credit ratings. While extending the hiring freeze, of course, was a challenging decision, This action, in conjunction with other mitigating actions, such as reducing the capital budget, delaying capital projects, and pursuing innovative financing options, were viewed as a much better alternative than long-term permanent actions. Throughout the duration of the hiring freeze, sworn personnel were excluded from the hiring freeze, and exceptions were granted for critical civilian positions on a case-by-case basis. As the board is aware, the authority has deployed multiple practical creative solutions to help reduce the vacancy rate and retain employees, such as prioritizing filling human resource vacancies, increasing digital outreach and promotions, and creating a mentorship program to support new employees. The authority continuously seeks out ways to enhance its hiring practices to fill vacant positions as quickly as possible. The first of two issues that we were asked to comment on begins on page 43 of the PDF document. DLS begins by discussing our various financial metrics and notes that we are projected to reach our debt service coverage minimum in fiscal year 2028. DLS requests that we comment on strategies to mitigate projected fiscal challenges, including a potential toll increase. On page 62 of the PDF document, in our response, we indicate that the timing of a toll increase is dependent on many factors that impact the authority's financial standards, such as inflationary pressures, deferred maintenance policies, toll revenue attainment, mandated operating budget expenses, as well as debt issuance costs and timing. While in the past, the authority has been able to strategically constrain expenses to manage financial standards and the timing of a toll increase, construction market volatility and rising inflationary pressures may make it difficult for the authority to defer maintenance to constrain the budget while also maintaining its facilities in a state of good repair as required under the authority's trust agreement with its bondholders. We conclude our remarks by noting that the agency will continue to monitor its financial position and in consultation with the financial advisors as well as the authority board take the necessary actions to meet its financial obligations. The second issue, which we were not asked to comment on, begins on page 45 of the PDF document. In short, the issue provides an overview of the customer assistance plan, call center volumes and wait times, as well as customer reimbursements for civil penalties paid in error during the customer assistance plan. The final issue begins on page 49 of your PDF document. DLS provides a brief overview of the Oplanes, Maryland project and asks that we comment on the future of the project and when a decision will be made regarding the future of the project. The authority notes on page 63 of the PDF document that this project will be viewed under the same lens of social equity, environmental protection, and local participation as all other transportation projects. The authority and the department will continue to work together as partners, as well as with local stakeholders, towards a solution for congestion in the Washington suburbs along portions of I-495 and the I-270 corridor, as well as addressing maintenance and safety on the American Legion Bridge in a way that meets the needs of Marylanders. And with that, unless Will has anything additional to add, that concludes my remarks.
I just want to thank both Deb, Chantel, and the Ledge team, Mary, and everybody who helped prepare for our budget hearings and cover for me. I was sick for the second hearing with the Senate. They do a phenomenal job. It was a lot of late nights and weekends. We get the analysis in at kind of the last second. It's normal every year, but they put in a lot of effort to get that done, and we were very well represented at the hearings, so just thank them.
Any questions, comments? Just a few. The analyst does a very good job of looking at our program, and really we work together with them, I think, to work through issues. I think on this vacancy issue, it's a priority for the governor, obviously for the legislature, and I know that you have a number of things underway to try to drive that down. It's very difficult in the market we're in, and we have other conditions we have to overcome. But it is just a very high priority for all of us to try to do that. So thank you for the efforts that you have underway. But as you know, we need to report next year with significant progress on that. So it's going to take every day to keep working on that. So thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Okay, item number 7, update on major projects. Quarterly update on major projects valued over 40 million or of significant public interest. James?
Good morning,
Good morning.
Chairman, member of the board. My name is James Harkins. I'm the chief engineer for MDTA, and I'll be presenting a summary of our major projects valued at over $40 million. This month, there are 11 major projects in my report. 8 of those projects are in construction, and 3 of those are in design. The first project is MA 2257, which is the replacement of electronic toll collection, third generation. Some recent accomplishments is the completion of the FMT conversion to highway speed toll collection for both northbound and southbound. So southbound was converted in January, and just earlier this week we converted northbound. So the FMT facility is now fully collecting tolls at highway speed. And then the second update is that Catch, our lane side vendor, has achieved their SAT approval because they were able to close out all the remaining punch list items. All right. Moving on to the next project, NB 543, which is the replacement of the nice Middleton Bridge. That project has been was open to traffic obviously last October. We have since then been working to complete the installation of all the ITS devices and lighting, and we also have been working and continuing to work on the demolition of the existing bridge, and as part of that, we are using the materials from the demoed deck to construct reefing, a new reef. So that activity is underway, and they will be obviously continuing with that over the next couple months, and additionally we'll be implementing a bicycle warning system in a couple of months' time. All right. Next project is FT 2651R, which is the rehabilitation of the vent fans for the Fort McHenry Tunnel. Again, this project is to upgrade the ventilation system to handle a 100 megawatt fire and replace the control system. So in this tunnel system, we have 48 fans. There's 24 fans on each end of the tunnel in each vent building. As of this report, we have 28 fans that have been completely rehabilitated and are back online. We have 16 fans that are currently locked out for service. This contractor has been working hard, and we are still on schedule for a completion in April of '24, so next year. Okay, moving on. Our next project is KH 3009, which is one of our I-95 ETL northbound extension programs. This is the ETL toll lanes extension to 152. So this is widening I-95 between 43 and 152. The contractor has been working on retaining walls and continuing with the work associated with that. They have 3 major structures in this project. So S1 is the bridge over Gunpowder, Big Gunpowder. They have completed the piers, the 2 piers for that. They're prepping the beam seats and getting ready with the anchor bolts, and so working on the abutments. S2 is Raphael Road, so the overpass over 95. They've completed the deck and the parapets, and they are installing the approach slab on the abutments, working on the grading for the approaches. S3 is the Little Gunpowder Bridge, mainline bridge. Again, similar to S1, they're working on the abutments there, and will be getting ready to set beams in a month. Everywhere else in between those structures and beyond those structures, they've been working on grading, grading for the roadway, grading for the slopes, and they're placing subbase, and they're also placing topsoil. In the next month or so, again, they'll be getting ready to set steel at some of the structures. We'll be opening Raphael Road, and they're going to continue working on those retaining walls and noise barriers, and then they'll begin to work on some plantings, getting some plantings in this planting season, and start paving on the southern end closer to 43, paving for that widening. Okay. Our next project is also part of the ETL program. That's KH 3019. That's the Maryland 152 interchange. So that project obviously has the bridge replacement for 152 over 95. They're working on, they have set the steel girders. They're working on the stub outs for that side of the bridge. They are working on also the abutments and getting the wire walls ready for that. A second structure in that program is the Winners Run Bridge, which carries 95 over Winners Run. They're working on widening there, as well as addressing some repairs that we had in the contract. They have work going on noise barriers as well as retaining walls on this project. They've placed the sub-base material for the new ramps, the ramp widening at the interchange. The exit ramp is they're grading that, and they have been working on the lightweight fill that goes above the 108-inch Baltimore City water line.
I just want to comment, thank you very much for the tour, and actually get a lot of comments up in Harford County on what's going on, timeline and so forth, and really can explain now, better to those people on what really is happening. Thank you very much.
Sure. Our pleasure. We had fun. So upcoming, we'll be continuing to work, obviously, on the 152 bridge, and they, are setting rebar, and they're getting prepared for the deck pour on that, and the Winners Run bridge. They're also continuing to work on that substructure at the piers. And as we saw when we were out there, they're working on the retaining wall that's near that old park and ride, so they'll continue drilling those caissons and working on that retaining wall. Okay. Next project is KH 3024. So this is the I-95 and Belvedere Road interchange project up in Cecil County. And this project is going to obviously construct a brand new interchange to support the economic development in the area, increase safety and access to and from 95. The design build team recently began with tree felling activities, and so they're underway, and that tree felling activity is part of the work to clear for the utility relocation that Delmarva Power needs to come in and do, as well as set the stage for their initial structure work. On the design permitting side, we had the JPA package in with the agencies for their review, and we expect comments from them early next month, where we can address those and turn that around, and hopefully we're looking for approval on the JPA in May. And then once we receive that approval, we'll be able to get in and have that Delmarva utility work relocation begin, as well as start to work on the initial structure retaining wall. All right. So now we'll move from the Kennedy Highway down to the Bay Bridge. This is BB 2726, also BB 3017. It's all part of the same project, but it's the eastbound deck replacement, phase 1. This phase 1 has a package 1 which was approved, which is the project number BB 3017. That's deck replacement and widening of the deck in spans T14 to 22, so that's between the suspension span and the through truss. And And we have additional work like some stormwater management. We have utility relocation. So we're doing some of that work as well under this package. So the contractor recently has moved a crane into place next to the bridge. So that crane is now in place, and then they're also constructing a stair tower in order to access the bridge. The design of this project was to minimize traffic impacts, so the contractor is doing a lot of work from the water, so therefore that's why we have the crane, and we have the stair tower in order to enable access and deliveries for this utility relocation under the bridge, and that's what this is facilitating. So that work will start once those temporary works are completed. Additionally, the team has started work on the design package for our design for package 2. So package 2 would be the same deck panel replacements just on the portion of the bridge west of the suspension span and in that curve, if you think about the curved area. So that's the part of the bridge that would be addressed in a package 2. So upcoming activities is just to really get underway with that utility relocation, as well as we're doing 3D scanning of the bridge to help facilitate our matchup when we install the deck panels so that we can be as smooth as possible, again, with the goal of minimizing impacts to commuters by having any kind of significant bump or change in elevation when we're matching up new panels with old panels or new with new until we complete closure course. Now we'll move down to our last project that's in construction, HT 2709. That's the envelope and switchgear replacement at the Baltimore Harbor Tunnel ventilation buildings. This project was recently awarded and given NTP at the end of February. This project, again, replaces the envelope on both of the ventilation buildings. So we will be removing the exterior walls and replacing them with a precast concrete wall panel, and it's will have louvers to allow for the ventilation, obviously, and then it also will hopefully keep the weather out and off of our electric switchgear. So that switchgear is the original switchgear from when the original equipment that was opened in 1957. So it's time to replace that, and that obviously powers our tunnel. So all the systems in the tunnel are powered by that, including the ventilation. And so when we have the exterior removed, we can get that large gear in and out more easily. We're also making some upgrades to enable some of the maintenance, future maintenance, that won't require removing the walls. So we are just, again, in the early phases, so we're doing some long lead item. Electrical equipment has become very long lead, so we're getting out in front of that, getting our submittals in and getting those items ordered and reviewing their submittals. Okay, so now we'll move into projects that are in design. KB 3005, that's the I-695 subgrade improvements and other rehabilitation near Bear Creek. And so as part of this, we have some settlement issues out there, so we're addressing that with a pile-supported slab design, and that's going to enable us to sort of bridge the areas where the soils are compacting and have settlement. So we are going to come in and we're going to have to install these piles and then essentially this cap that goes on top of the piles to carry the roadway. We also have some back wall repairs at 3 of the bridge structures on the facility over there in that same area that we'll be able to, while we're in the maintenance of traffic phases, we'll be able to address the issues with the bridge back walls over there while we're also addressing the settlement issues. So this was in design. It actually submitted to procurement just a couple of days ago, so now we're moving from design into procurement, so that's under review with DOP. We anticipate an advertisement in May of this year with an NTP in October, And then this is a 18-month construction on this one, so in February of 2025. Okay, and then our last two projects are both on Kennedy Highway. Again, this is this project 3020 is part of the ETL northbound extension. It's again a mainline project from 24 to Bynum Run. So this is approximately 2 miles of widening on the north end of the project. It transitions essentially from those 2 managed lanes that we're building and getting it back down to just the 3 general purpose lanes that will exist north of Bynum Run up towards 543. The 4 general purpose lanes that we will be carrying next to our 2 managed lanes will continue just past the end of the managed lanes, where we will then just transition down. As part of this project, we're also constructing 1 noise wall. This project is at the final stage of design, and we're working on our environmental stormwater management permits at this time. We are in site development with that, and we anticipate the approvals in June of this year. And so that would allow us to advertise in mid-September of this year, and then we would hope to have NTP by February or March of next year, with a construction completion in fall of '26. And finally, KH 3046. This is the northbound ETL ramps at 695. So we're going to be constructing 2 ramps under this project. The ramps from 695 in both directions that will lead into our existing ETLs, which will then allow people to access the extension that we're constructing. So as part of this, we have to do a stream restoration in the middle of the interchange area, which was a commitment from our Section 100 days. So that was a commitment we had to the agency, so we're addressing that commitment under this project as well. Right now, we are at the semi-final submission stage. We'll get that in April here. Our current schedule for this is to advertise in November of next year, with an anticipated start of construction in the summer of '25, which will allow completion for this by the summer of '27. Okay, and that completes my report.
Any questions or comments, Jim? Just a few then. Thank you for the tour the other day. It was very informative. In all the construction projects that you just went through, are there any schedule or budget concerns you have related to any of those that have hit your radar?
Not at this time.
That the board should be aware of?
Nothing at this time. We are on schedule with all these projects.
Okay.
And budget-wise, everything is fully committed,
Okay.
and there's no risk on that side of
All right,
this.
on that side. Okay, good.
To add one thing on that, Chairman, related to the Phase 2 eastbound deck project, while we don't have any budget issues related to the projects that are under construction, we are looking for ways to fully fund that Package 2 phase. That's not fully funded in the CTP right now, so one of the
The western
challenges.
side
Correct.
that you referred to, okay.
Right. So, one of the challenges that we have with our program is much of it is system preservation. That bridge is, I think, 71 years old, so a lot of maintenance needed on the Bay Bridge, and in order to keep it safe and open to the public, which everybody understands the vital nature of the Bay Bridge. So we do have to kind of juggle that with all the priorities to find the funding to do that, and that is a challenge for us, particularly with that phase. So while we're on budget, we're going to try to, find ways to fully fund that program.
Mr. Rizzo, any comment?
Just one question related to the final contract you mentioned for the 695 ramps to 95. Is that the only contract related to that project, or are there other contracts that will be coming related to the expansion and connecting 695 to
695?
95? Yeah.
That's the only project that's related to that portion. So that was a part of the Section 100, so it's not a part of the Section 200 necessarily. We're keeping them distinct, but that's the only project we have, related to that connection in the Section 100 area.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you so much.
Okay.
Agenda item number 8, an update on information technology for major projects. Quarterly update on information technology with Percy and David.
Good morning. Morning, Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Percy Dangerfield, Chief Administrative Officer of MDTA. I'm joined at the table today with Mr. David Goldsberg, our IT Director. We're going to give the board a quarterly update on IT projects, and I'll turn it over to David.
Okay, thanks. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Nice to see everyone. For the record, as Percy said, my name is Dave Goldsberg. I'm Director of Information Technology for the Authority. The purpose of this presentation and the memorandum is to give a quarterly update on the progress of major projects within IT, as well as some other activities that are going on. As of March 30th, 2023, the Division of Information Technology maintains an active portfolio of 19 projects and continued support of the third generation tolling system program. There are some activities that are going on there that are in support of 3G right now. We're working with CAPSH and TransCore on rack expansion in our data centers, and that's primarily for the need of increased storage requirements. So we'll be expanding at JFK and ICC to give them a bigger footprint for their equipment. We're also assisting with some various database reporting functions, and that's to support the KPI portion of the contract. So a lot of things happening there. If you recall, I think last year we talked about the readiness report, the cyber readiness report that State Do It engaged in. We did finally receive the report on that, and we held a pre-exit conference as well as an exit conference with State Do It to review the scoring results. And I think, Mr. Secretary, you may have seen the main presentation with James a few weeks ago. So I think overall, we were very pleased with the results, and staying with what we did previously with the penetration testing. Well, maybe we can do something in closed session if we wanted to do a deeper dive. But just to highlight what was done, the instrument that the vendor used was the capability maturity model framework, which essentially is an assessment of your level of maturity. So it usually runs from 0 to 5, and it's, as you climb the scale, it demonstrates things that you're doing in different domains that score you on that scale that represent your maturity level. So 0, you essentially are doing nothing. 1, 2, and 3, you start to engage in activities in the different domains, but not only are you doing them, as you climb the scale, you repeat them, you govern them, you score them over and over and over. You have service level agreements, policies, things like that. So when you're operating in that framework, you start to get up to level 5. That's a very mature organization, and companies like Boeing operate in that space because of the risk level that's associated with it. A lot of our domains were scoring in the 2 to 3 range. Some of our domains were in the 3 to 4 range, which in totality, in the CMMI framework, that's a very good score. It seems like maybe you'd want to be a 5, but to be operating at a level 5, it requires almost dedicated resources to constantly measure what you're doing. So the vendor did give us some good findings, and again, we can do a deeper dive, but one of the things that they mentioned was that we do security training for everyone, but we don't have targeted role-based training. So that particular domain suffered from just not doing a role-based training model. So that's coming into place. So if you think of someone that performs cybersecurity operations for Do It, they should get a targeted role-based type training. And as soon as you do that, that domain score raises, which ultimately raises your entire maturity level. So there are a few areas that I would say were low-hanging fruit, as simple as maybe creating some service level agreements with our vendors that perform outsourced services for us. So, but I think that in general, we scored in the 2 to 3 range in total. I've got experience with CMMI framework, and I was pleased to see that. It's definitely demonstrates that we have a lot of good things going on, and the structures are there. So I will continue those updates, and again, if we wanted to go to a closed session and do a deeper dive, I'd be happy to do that. I changed the format of the report, just a little bit, I wanted to give the board a slight window into some of our major initiatives that are going on, which is why I flipped to this kind of table. So I pulled out 4 or 5 projects that are really big on our plate right now. The first one is our HR Central conversion. That's the 7 or 8 different modules that are built on the Salesforce platform, and they're modules that if anyone that's talked to us about our HR Central application, they are modules that do things that the core HRIS system does not do, that we use right now, which is our main tracking for employee information, things like that. The modules that are built in Salesforce support that. We are moving to the Lightning platform, it's called. We just converted the employee relations module, so that was a nice milestone, and we will have the remaining 6 or 7 will go the rest of the year. They're staged once every few months, so it's mainly a big testing effort. So we'll finish that up in January. Our Maximo Spatial implementation, we've got our contractor on site to do that. That's the implementation of Maximo, the spatial module, and integration with GIS for asset management. I think the first asset class that was brought in was elevators. I think that represented kind of a more lower number, but also a more manageable asset class. That'll look to wrap up in the June timeframe. We're also upgrading our OpenText platform. OpenText is our document management and workflow system. That is a platform upgrade, and it's keeping in lockstep with our roadmap to keep our systems on versions that are vendor supported. So our P-card system runs under there. Our task order management, we've got an invoice tracking system that operates under there. So several applications that will move to that 2021 platform. Also, our Dynamics financial management system, the SL, that is being converted to 2018, and we're anticipating a completion date of about December. There are several projects that are kind of tied to that, but I feel pretty comfortable that we'll be in the December timeframe. So that is strictly our financial management system. Again, that's a platform upgrade to stay in line with vendor-supported version. So it's very important that we do that. We don't want to get too far outside of that extended support window. And finally, the HRIS system that is in use right now across MDOT, that is scheduled to be moved to the cloud. I think the kickoff is in the June timeframe. So I've got to go live as to be determined. We met as an IT group last week and talked about that. So I'll bring more information in my next update as we make progress on HRIS. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to take questions.
Any questions?
Just one question. What is our system of evaluating our vendors for their SOC compliance and making sure that they're adhering with standards that meet our standards for, SOC reporting, for privacy testing, anything, security related and so forth?
I missed first part of your question, member.
Just what is our process for ensuring that our vendors are in compliance with all of our rules and regs?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So we, it's a contractual arrangement, so all of our contracts, there's very specific language and guidelines from state to it that any services that are cloud-based or outsourced services, there's a model that we use that we actually include in the contract that the vendor must conform to a SOC 2 audit and on a yearly basis. So it comes down to a contract management component where the contract manager would need to solicit that feedback from the vendor to make sure that they're performing that.
So I just want to make, so we are doing that
Yes,
as
sir.
the contract
Yes.
manager? Okay.
Yep,
Yeah, okay.
I could offer more information. It's really a contract type thing.
Okay.
So, but it's included on everything there that it needs to be on, and it's being performed.
Any other question? Just one comment. James did give me, an overview of the whole department, and having been through this in other agencies, when they do this scoring, in effect, it is a snapshot in time.
Right.
And so that's in May of '22, and as
Right.
you know, this changes very, very quickly. So even though we scored, relatively high, particularly compared to other state agencies, I know for sure, it is not something that we can say, okay, we're there,
Right.
now we'll need to get better.
Exactly.
Because it's constantly changed.
Yes.
I know you know that, David. I'm just making sure we all understand that
No,
that
it's
thing
great
can swing
feedback.
either way. We got to always keep on top of it.
Yeah, I'll say the humor in that is the day you got the exit conference, the score was already outdated. So,
Yeah, exactly.
but that's all in the repeated portion of
Exactly.
the scale operating at that higher level where you're repeating and you're measuring. So, but you're absolutely spot on, Mr. Chairman. Yeah.
Thank you.
If I could too, just next month is the quarterly cybersecurity update that is in closed session. So we can kind of walk through that in more detail in closed session so that the members can understand the score and the specific actions that the team already has planned to kind of address these. They've already talked about it, but because of the nature of the findings, we would prefer to wait until that closed session to go into the details.
That's fine. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay, very good. Agenda item number 9, Civil Rights Fair Practice Socioeconomic Programs. Percy?
Thank you. Again, good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Again, for the record, my name is Percy Dangerfield, Chief Administrative Officer for MDTA. I'm joined today at the table with Ms. Tia Rattini, who's the Director of Civil Rights and Fair Practices. Today, we are going to give a quarterly update on our socioeconomic programs. Tia is going to start off by giving the board overview, and then I'll talk about some opportunities for us to strengthen our program further. Thank you. Tia?
Thank you, Percy. Good morning, Chairman Wiedefeld and board members. My name is Tia Rattini, Director of Civil Rights and Fair Practices. To give you our quarterly update on our social and economic programs, if you look at table number 1, it goes over our federal DBE projects. It's contract through December 31st of 2022. So we have the I-95 interchange at Belvedere, which is currently at 8.73% utilization. Our bridge replacement at the Nice Bridge is currently at 18.13%. The campus improvements at the Nice Bridge are currently at a 23.83% utilization. And we have 3 A&E contracts for construction management inspection services. 3049 is at a utilization of 26.16%. 3050 is at a 21.64%, and 3051 is at a 18.96%. On table 2, we have MBE awards by procurement category. We are currently at a 20.23% of contract awards to MBE subcontractors and MBE primes. On table 3, there's a breakout of the MBE program awards by procurement category and by classification of the MBE. Table 4 is a new table giving utilization of the payments to MBE primes and MBE subcontractors that we're currently at 12%. Table 5 is our SBR program that we have designated payments on SBR contracts at 1.10% and non-designated payments for SBR at 0.73% for a total SBR utilization at 1.83%. Our Veteran Small Business Enterprise on Table 6 shows the breakout of veteran awards by procurement category, and we are currently at 0.68%.
All right. Tia, thank you for walking us through those numbers. So what I want to do is take a little bit of time to sort of go through some of these numbers and talk about our program holistically. Before I do that, I do want to acknowledge the chairman, and we appreciate you, your last comments for asking us to expand the charts and talk about the actual utilization of the MBEs that are actually doing work on our program. So we appreciate that. We were able to pull some numbers together and talk about that. So overall, the program has some good aspects, and obviously there's some opportunities for us to improve upon. The first set of charts that Tia talked about, our DBE program, primarily Nice Bridge projects and Belvedere Exchange. 3 of the 6 projects have exceeded their goals, and also with the utilization, so we're really happy about that. Obviously, the Belvedere Exchange project has just started, so there's still additional reporting that will be done for those numbers. Two of the projects, our construction management services A&E contracts, are not currently meeting the goals. They are behind. The primary reason for that is really staffing issues. The contract experiences some challenges with identifying staff to help support those programs because of the location, working with potential companies in Virginia and also in Maryland. But we are pleased to announce that the structure of the program itself, the structure of the contracts, does provide opportunities for those subs to get additional work on other MDTA projects. So we are working with the primes right now to identify those opportunities. So the next chart we talk about is chart number table 2, and this is our overall MDE participation. As mentioned before, the state goal is 29%. Currently, we are at 20.23%. I just want to point out to the board that this is a snapshot in time, so these numbers represent the first 2 quarters. So the other factor to that, it also depends on the actual timing of payments as we move forward. And I'll get into a little later in the presentation about some of the things we think we can do to help improve that number and continue to move that number in a positive direction. The other table that I want to bring to the board's attention is table number 4. This is the actual table that talks about MB utilization. So when you look at a socioeconomic program, there are a couple of different goals that are looked at to determine the health of the program. One of which is the committed goal or the advertised goal. This is the goal that's set by the team during our procurement review group. This goal talks about what are the potential subcontracting opportunities that we advertise. And then we also have a utilization goal. Now this mainly speaks on how much money is actually paid to the subcontractors once they actually are awarded work on a contract. And there are different strategies and there's different ways to impact those particular goals. But ultimately, the organization wants to meet or achieve the overall state goal, not only on the contracts that are awarded or advertised, but also the utilization, the money actually going into the MBEs that participate on the contract. So having said that, as Tim mentioned earlier on table 4, currently we are at a 12% utilization. And the overall goal is 29%. There are a couple of factors that go into that 12%. One of which, again, this is a snapshot in time. There's also a natural lag in terms of reporting when the actual numbers come in, so we can identify how much money is actually gone to MBEs that are participating on the contract. And thirdly, it also represents an opportunity for our team to strengthen its compliance efforts in ensuring that the prime contractors and subcontractors are submitting their payments in a timely fashion. Our ability to improve those efforts will also help our reporting numbers. So again, there's an opportunity for us to increase that number in terms of getting payments in. The other report, or the other set of numbers I want to bring to your attention, is table number 5, which is our SBR program. Historically, this number is low. To achieve the 15% has been a challenge for MDTA. There are a couple of reasons for that, one of which is the way that the SBRs actually report it. In terms of utilization, we can only count contracts that are designated SBR at the time of award. Therefore, if a small business does do work for MDTA, but the contract was not originally designated, we cannot count that participation dollars. So we are continuously looking for opportunities to find contracts that we can designate as SBRs, and we also have a couple of strategies to try to improve the utilization or the amount of companies that are identified as SBRs, which can increase the pool. And lastly, table 6 is our veteran-owned small business program. The goal is 1%. We're currently at 0.68%. So we do anticipate to continue to move forward and trend to achieve that 1% goal by the time the reporting period is over. So those are the highlights and the status of the different areas that we're working with the socioeconomic program. The team has gotten together and we've identified some strategies that we believe will continue to move the program forward. One of which is bringing on a contract compliance system. Right now we're standing up a system called PRISM. PRISM is very unique in terms of its ability to give transparency and ability for DB reporting. It's specifically designed for federal contracts. Originally, we brought the system on to work with the federal contracts that we have for Knightsbridge, but we immediately identified that the overall utility of the program could also help us with our MBE and VSB and SBR programs. So we are in the process of moving toward using PRISM for all of our tracking. The system in itself will help the prime and subcontractors be able to submit payments electronically. There's also alerts that will help us know when invoices are paid. So this will help our compliance team move forward with tracking. And again, as I mentioned, this actually automated system. So we're really excited about that. Something else that the team is looking into is we are also looking at our outreach events. So as I mentioned before about the MD program and the committed goals, two ways to impact that is one, to increase the pool of certified MBEs and VSBs that are actually in the database. The other way is to look at the things that we identify as subcontracting opportunities. So these two things are major drivers in what we actually set a goal for in a contract. So MDTA can impact the amount of companies that are willing and able to participate in our projects by us doing more outreach events, us working with other trade associations that have large memberships, and creating these partnerships to let these companies know the benefit, one, for being certified, and also the contracting opportunities for MDTA. So we've begun to do that. We had an event on March 8th called Doing Business with the MDTA. It was a very successful event. We got a good number of small businesses to come in, but we also provided training and exposure to help them grow their own business and also networking opportunities. So we're going to continue to do that, and we have 2 other events scheduled moving out. The next thing that we're looking at is improving the relationship between civil rights and fair practices and the Office of Engineering and Construction internally. These 2 units have to work hand in hand, and which they had been doing. But what we've done recently is we developed some training opportunities for CRFP and OEC to work together to really understand the program and the things that we can do to work together to improve the program. So we've already done 2 training components, and we're going to continue that relationship. The third thing is our credit card purchases. Although that is a small portion of our MBE utilization, it is still a very important part. So we are working with our credit card team and our IT team to look for ways to help identify and track credit card transactions made with MBEs. This will help us better understand what that universe looks like and who we're actually doing business with, and also identify the frequency in which we're doing that. So once we have that information, we'll be able to have more directed strategies moving forward. The fourth thing is we want to identify additional opportunities for our socioeconomic program participants. And one way to do that is to evaluate extra work orders and supplemental agreements. These are things that happen on the contracts that will increase the dollar amount of the contract. We want to work with OEC when these things happen to see if there's opportunities for MBEs and VSBEs to participate more fully on the contract. So just improving that internal communication, we also believe will help our program. And in addition to that, we also want to look at expanding our 3rd tier feasibility, and also looking at the standard requirement that primes self-perform 50% of the work. So these are all things that, as we look at, we can identify additional opportunities. And the last thing that we're looking to do to improve the program is to develop a MBE prime and subcontractor MDTA award recognition. We're looking at ways to influence the prime contractors and the MBEs to not only bring on new companies, but also really encourage them to really work the program and achieve the maximum participation. And we think one of the ways to do that is to recognize some of the primes that we've already been working with that do an incredible job with the program, but actually give them recognition, with MDTA and possibly with the industry. So collectively, we believe these initial strategies will help continue to move our program forward. We will continue to look at other ways to improve the program, and we will keep the board updated in our next quarterly report. So that concludes our presentation, and any questions, we'll be glad to answer for you.
Questions or comments?
Just a quick question. They have to be a small business set aside or account. If you were to count projects that weren't set aside but were done by small businesses,
Thank you. That's a great question. I mean, it's the numbers still do not move significantly. It helps and improves. We have, again, as I mentioned before, historically had challenges of finding opportunities. Just the nature of the procurements that we have tend to be fairly large. So that is a challenge, but it would help the program, if we were able to count those also.
Hey, Percy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Table 5, the non-designated payments is exactly that category, correct?
Yes, correct.
So
That is correct.
that breakout of the 0.73% is the payments to those who are SBRs, but we don't get to count it because they weren't bid as an SBR contract. So the number, just make sure you saw the numbers there.
It's 0.73% of the total 1.83%. So it's unfortunately not significant.
Any other questions?
Good job. Mr. Chairman, just a real quick question. I guess I had a lot of questions. I had a page or so weird. But you've done a great job of answering. So
Thank you. Thank you.
but I also feel, you do a great job, you personally, Tia and others. And I'm glad that you have the credit card, the plan to capture that information. I think that's important. It adds up and helps us stay focused and gets us to where we need to be with our goals or exceed our goals. So thank you.
Thank you, Member Grant Paris.
Any questions? Thank you both. I appreciate understanding where we are with the contracts we have, but particularly the strategies you have going forward. There are a number of opportunities I think that we can do with the other modes, going forward that I think will generate out of MDOT. And I think, bringing the skills and some of the things that you've done, what other modes have done, will, get us even further down the road. But I appreciate the effort and for bringing this to the board. So thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 10, legislative session from Bradley and James.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and board members. I'm Brad Ryan, Manager of Government Relations, joined to my left by James Kettleman, Assistant Manager of Government Relations, and we're here to provide a brief update on the 2023 session of the General Assembly. As Chantel and Will mentioned earlier this month, the Secretary, Will, and Deb testified before the House and Senate subcommittees of jurisdiction regarding the MDTA budget. In addition, Will briefed the Eastern Shore delegation on March the 3rd, updating the members on the MDTA's projects, mostly centered around projects impacting the Eastern Shore, so a lot of Bay Bridge issues. On March 9th, MDTA staff, along with other MDOT partners, participated in the 2023 Intelligent Transportation Society of Maryland, or ITS, Maryland Legislative Technology Fair. All members of the General Assembly were invited to attend, and we were able to speak with a number of members and staff. We're closing in on the April 10th, which is the last day of session. I will now turn it over to James, who will give an update on bills that we are tracking this session.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and board members. Hope everybody's doing well. During the January and February board meetings, we highlighted the bills that specifically impact the MDTA, and so here's a brief update on those bills. So first off, we have House Bill 74, and its Senate crossfire, which is SB 412, the Maryland Rail Investment Act. And it would create a Maryland Rail Authority that would be funded by optimal tolling of MDTA's facilities. And so bill hearings were held in both chambers, but no further action has been taken at this point, And then Senate Bill 682, which would require the MDTA to install safety barriers on the Bay Bridge, has not moved since its hearing date on March 8th. House Bill 659, which would require a study on the impacts of vehicles with 3 or more axles using the contraflow lane on the Bay Bridge, was voted unfavorably by the Motor Vehicle and Transportation Subcommittee. Lastly, the Montgomery County delegation has introduced House Bill 820, which deals with speed monitoring systems on the ICC. As amended and passed by the House, the bill would require the MDTA to place 4 real-time speed monitoring systems rather than speed cameras in each direction on the ICC in Montgomery County, so that'd be a total of 8 speed monitoring systems. Additionally, the bill would require increased enforcement of speed violations on the ICC. We have concerns that the increased enforcement language could be interpreted as a constitutionally impermissible quota. We have met with members of the delegation to share these concerns. The bill had a hearing yesterday in the Senate Judicial Proceedings Committee and is awaiting further consideration on the Senate side. As we count down the days to the end of the session, we will continue to monitor the General Assembly for bills that impact the MDTA, and we will keep you up to date. And of course, we will work with our MDOT colleagues to monitor bills that impact multiple TBUs and other state agencies as well. And thank you for your time, and with that, we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Thank you.
All right, cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Audit Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Audit Committee met on March 7th, 2023. We were updated that the Office of Audits is on track to complete the 12 audits that they're required to do for fiscal year 2023. 3 audits are complete and 3 audits are in progress. We also were presented with the fiscal year 2024 enterprise-wide risk assessment and proposed fiscal year 2024 audit plan. I want to thank Paul and Will, and I know many others that had input. We were very pleased with the proposed audit plan, and we all concurred with it. There were 2 internal audit reports that were presented. First was the corporate purchasing card control audit, and also the license plate reader compliance audit. And again, the committee was satisfied with the results of those audits. We also received a verbal update from our executive director, Will Pines, as to the status of the OLA audit that started in February of 2022. Thank you.
Very good. Any questions or comments? All right, thank you so much. All right, last item, Executive Director's report.
All right, well, good morning again, and thank you, Chairman and members of the board. For the record, my name is Will Pines, and I'm Executive Director for the MDTA. At last month's board meeting, I announced that we would conduct 3 public hearings as part of the toll rate setting process for the new I-95 Express Toll Lane northbound extension and I-695 ramps. Those hearings were held, and I want to come back to the board with a short summary on that. At the in-person hearing on February 27th at Perry Hall High School, we had 6 citizens attend, no elected officials, and no one provided verbal testimony. At the virtual hearing on March 2nd, we had approximately 10 people join the call, excluding the MDTA staff and board members. No elected officials provided testimony, and although one member of the public attended and requested assistance with a tolling-related question, it wasn't really official testimony related to the toll rates. And we did connect her with the appropriate team members to assist with her concern. At the in-person hearing on March 6th at Joppatown High School, we had a citizen and 1 elected official attend. Harford County Councilman Dion Guthrie provided a verbal testimony at that hearing. And the current comment period is open until April 13th. Separate from the 2 verbal comments received at the hearings, we've also received 22 comments via the online comment form through the project website. And most of the comments are general statements about toll rates being too high or customers' perceptions of that, and or comments related to toll rates and noise and other individual tolling questions that are more broad and general. They're not related specifically to the toll proposal. We will be back at the April board meeting to provide the complete summary report from that comment period, but I wanted to give you this update on the hearings today. On March 8th, the MDTA Civil Rights and Fair Practices Division held its first in-person MBE DBE outreach event since COVID. We had an all-star lineup of presenters, and the participants were able to network with each other and the exhibitors. Our Division of Communications recorded that event, and the video will be posted shortly to our website. It's done. We just got to shrink it down to be able to fit on the page. The event was held at the Harry Hughes Conference Center at MDOT headquarters. We had 84 attendees and 10 exhibitors, which included 7 prime contractors and organizations like MTBMA, ACEC Maryland, the Maryland Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and the Maryland Minority Contractors Association. I attended the event, and the engagement there was just really exceptional. The team did a phenomenal job. I want to thank all of the MDTA presenters, including Percy Dangerfield, Tia Rattini, and Alice Cook, who were presenting on behalf of the civil rights programs. Abby Alem, who provided updates on upcoming procurement opportunities for our procurement division. Takesta Amar, who provided updates on upcoming major project opportunities and specifically on our interchange reconstruction at I-895 for the AET conversion. And last but not least from our team, Melissa Williams and Carl Chamberlain also provided updates on upcoming planning contracts. As you can see, the MDTA team was in full force to support growth of Maryland businesses, and also Miss Lynn Farrow, the Director of External Affairs from MDOT, was represented to be there on behalf of the chairman for the event. Finally, I want to thank our special guest presenters, which included Allison Tavkit, the Director of Communications and Outreach for the Governor's Office of Small and Minority and Women Business Affairs, who presented on GOSBA's oversight, monitoring, and compliance of the Maryland's 3 socioeconomic programs. That's the MBE, VSB, and SBR programs. And then Karen Barberer, president of the Barberer Group, who presented on surety bond basics for government contracting. A lot of great information there. I even learned a couple things from her presentation, so it was great. All the participants made this an incredibly successful event, and we're going to keep this thing going. We have another event that's the next one that's planned is on Wednesday, June 14th, and we're hoping to have another great turnout for that. Also, on March 8th in the evening, I had the privilege of attending the police promotional ceremony. The police promoted 8 supervisors to various ranks within the department and celebrated at that ceremony the recent promotions of 8 dispatch personnel as well. I commend Colonel Anderson and his team for promoting a culture of leadership, responsibility, accountability, and diversity within the ranks of the MDTA police. It's always good to see deserving individuals become recognized and promoted. Last week, we held the closing program for Cohort 4 of our Mind of the Leader program. We've remained laser focused at the MDTA on building a culture of strong leadership. This program focuses on developing mindful, selfless leaders who are present, focused, and show compassion with their team. We've put hundreds of our new and growing leaders through this program already, and will continue to invest in leadership development at all levels within the organization. You probably, as you walk around the building, you'll also see some flyers that we've put out for our LIFT program for aspiring leaders to sign up for another opportunity for leadership development. I'm really grateful for Kim Millender for her continued leadership of the Mind of the Leader program. She's really leaving a lasting legacy here at the MDTA. And I also want to thank the group facilitators and all of the participants who made the time investment in this leadership development. As Member Cox mentioned, just 2 days ago, our ETL project team hosted a site visit for several board members. I want to thank Brian Wolf, Joe Jakowski, and Jim Harkness for organizing that site visit. The site visit consisted largely of a van tour provided along the project, which enabled the group to see newly constructed noise walls, completed overpasses, and the completed park and ride adjacent to the I-95 interchange at Maryland 24 and 924, which is in the Abington area. We were able to see the great progress on the program and the benefits of congestion relief, safety, the environment, and aesthetic improvements, along with the new transit connections, bike, and pedestrian amenities that have come with the project. And that overall, this program has already and is going to continue to deliver really great benefits for the local community and our interstate travelers. The highlight of the tour was stopping at the construction site at the 152 interchange and meeting our project engineer, Darren Augustiniak, His zany passion for his work and the project shined for all of the attendees. I want to thank Natalie for planning and working on the schedule for this site visit, and I know everybody had a really great time there. Coming into the room today, I hope that you noticed that the 3 new custom signs that are behind you on the board, we wanted to, knowing that we were going to be having the board meetings in this room, kind of highlight some of the branding with both our Easy Pass and other payment methods that are available. Customers that see this through the video can actually use the QR code to jump directly to find account information. And as always, we pay a lot of money every year to make sure folks are aware to go early and stay late if they're traveling to the over the Bay Bridge. So wanted to provide that. And our BHT sign shop produced these signs, hung them as a backdrop for our board meetings, and the signs, I think, look phenomenal. This is done in-house by our own team. I want to thank the sign shop team members, which includes Tyler Courtney, our CFMO, Al Mosley, the sign shop supervisor, Joe Williams, Mason Dibley, and John Bowman. And I also want to thank Kelly Mundell from our Division of Communications for providing the necessary graphics to the sign shop. This team is now also helping with branding and marketing at our customer service centers, and I'm just really proud of the work that they do. With all the equipment they have is phenomenal. They do a really great job, and we're able to leverage them throughout the authority. I have 2 recognitions today regarding MDTA police personnel, and I'm excited to share those with the board. Lieutenant Kevin Foster, commander of the ICC detachment, graduated on March 16th as part of the 285th session of the FBI National Academy. This session of the National Academy consisted of men and women from 47 states and the District of Columbia. The class included members of law enforcement agencies from 28 countries, 4 military organizations, and 5 federal civilian organizations. Internationally known as an academic excellence, for its academic excellence, the National Academy offers a 10-week program that it covers things like advanced communications, leadership, and fitness training. Participants must have a proven record as professionals within their agencies in order to attend, and on average, these officers have 21 years of law enforcement experience and usually return to their agencies to serve in executive level positions. FBI Academy instructors, special agents, and other staff with advanced degrees provide this training, and many instructors are recognized internationally in their fields. Since 1972, the National Academy students have been able to earn undergraduate and graduate credits from the University of Virginia, which credits many of the courses offered. A total of 54,154 graduates have completed the FBI National Academy since 1935, and that academy is held at the FBI Training Academy in Quantico, the same facility where the FBI trains its own special agents and intelligence officers. So congratulations to Lieutenant Kevin Foster on a job well done and for representing the MDTA police in this program. I am also proud to inform the board that on March 22nd, our very own Colonel Anderson was elected to the position of second vice president of the Maryland Chiefs of Police Association. This association, or MCPA, is comprised of executive law enforcement officers from state, local, and federal agencies, prosecutors, and police legal advisors, along with members of the Maryland Police Training Commission, private sector security directors, and interested citizens. The MCPA is a membership-based organization of law enforcement executives who work tirelessly on behalf of the members and communities in several critical areas, including legislative and legal advocacy, training, and member services. Their active engagement on issues of public safety policy has allowed for the association to effectively work with our state senators and delegates in Annapolis on legislation that impacts our legal, social, and budgetary issues. The MCPA is recognized as the voice of law enforcement advocacy on behalf of local law enforcement in Maryland. MCPA also provides contemporary training to law enforcement leaders statewide, ensuring their members remain current on leading issues, as well as preparing the next generation of Maryland law enforcement executives. So at the last several board meetings, I've highlighted how our leadership team is just involved nationally and locally in so many great organizations. And this is just another example, and I want to thank Colonel Anderson for stepping up to help MCPA. My final recognition is for James Rassin, who is one of our valued emergency response technicians. He's joined us here today. And the primary mission of an emergency response technician is to assist stranded motorists along our roadways. With millions of motorists traveling on the MDTA roads every year, this is no small task. A stranded motorist can be an at-risk motorist, and often an ERT is the first person that a stranded motorist sees in their moment of need. This is a free 24/7 roadside assistance that's part of MDTA's commitment of customer service by providing safe traveling experiences for our customers. Whether it is assistance with a tire change or some gas or to get motorists back on the roadway, our ERTs provide this free lifeline service to anyone stranded on our roadways. So what did James do to deserve the recognition we're discussing? He helped in saving of a life. On February 21st at exit 32 in Sandy Point along US Route 50, in the mid-morning time frame, a disabled vehicle turned into an emergency that was a medical issue that required the MDTA police to administer Narcan, which is an opioid overdose countermeasure medicine. James assisted MDTA police in giving the police an AED, or automated external defibrillator, and then started directing traffic without even being asked to keep the scene safe to the police officers and the fire personnel so that they could provide those life-saving interventions. James is being nominated for an MDTA Police Life-Saving Award by those officers who were on the scene. And now I'd like to publicly acknowledge James and invite him and John Warren, his supervisor, to come up to take a picture with the board. All right, and for my very final update, I know it's long-winded, but looking ahead to May 6th, we're planning a day of service that'll be open to MDTA employees and the public. We will be doing a shoreline cleanup project in 2 areas. One area is at the MDTA Police Headquarters, and the other borders the neighboring community at the Turner Station. The Division of Environment, Safety, and Risk Management is working with our Division of Communications on flyers and public awareness, and we will keep the board informed on this service opportunity. I want to thank our leadership team in advance for engaging in this service opportunity, and I'll obviously welcome the board to participate in this cleanup project for the local community. So this concludes my remarks for this month, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions or comments for Will? Okay. Well, thank you, sir. Excellent job as usual. Very informative. Thank you. All right, before closing, I did want to introduce Samantha Biddle, our new Deputy Secretary, who you may see if I cannot make the meeting. Deputy Secretary, if you could, just give a little bit of your background for the board.
Hi, good morning. For the record, Samantha Biddle, Deputy Secretary, Maryland Department of Transportation. Hopefully not a new face to many of you. Have had the pleasure of supporting this body and the department in the role of Chief of Staff for the past 3 years and spent time at the State Highway Administration prior to that and working as a transportation planning consultant for about 10 years prior. So really appreciate the opportunity to continue to support the department and work with all of you and the Secretary going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, before adjourning, again, I want to thank the employees of the Toll Authority, everything they do. 2 prime examples, right? James, and what he does, what that team does, the ERT team does every day. And again, those of us that were out on the tour to meet Darren and to see the passion for the type of work that he has for this job and for the agency is just fantastic. And to be frank, I've met many people like that. So I'm very fortunate to have that throughout the department. He came from State Highway, so he had the passion there when he was there. But you can see what it really means to some of these men and women to work here on exciting projects. And they take their work very seriously, although he did have a little fun streak in him. But he takes his job very seriously and knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. So I'm already recruiting him for some other jobs. Just joking, Will, but he's top notch. He's top notch. But anyway, so thanks so much for that. So with that, the agenda complete. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting? A second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Aye.
Thank you. That concludes our meeting today at 10:26 a.m. Thank you so much.